8 for 8 on last week's picks. If you caught the preview show, then you know the results. If not, then you should like, comment, subscribe, share, and kick back and catch this episode of the Score Report. What up, football fans? Welcome to this episode of the NEFL Score Report. I'm your host, Mad Mike. I called one upset last week and the Ravens pulled it off. Heading to the Storm, the Ravens' 19-0 shutout sent the second defending champs home to sit with last year's AA champs, who may possibly be rethinking their jump to AAA after their winless season. With that win, however, the Ravens head to the Seacoast to face the number 1 North seed in hopes to withstand the offense of the juggernaut that is the Warhawks. With only 2 games with less than 26 points and one of them a forfeit, the Warhawks' number 1 offense is a huge focus for the Ravens. But the Warhawks are far from one-dimensional. Last year's defensive MVP and current middle linebacker has led his defense to the number 3 and 6 or less points in 5 of 8 games, making the Warhawks all around a force and my pick in this game and pick for single-A champs. Won't be a cakewalk. First, the Warhawks must shut down a Ravens offense that has scored 100 points in the last 3 games. Hungry and wanting a championship themselves, the Ravens will be at Commissioner Field in Dover, New Hampshire, Saturday at 2 p.m. In the South, the Blackhawks protected their home with a 29-0 shutout of the River Dogs, but now head to Connecticut to face the South's number 1 seed, the Brawlers. Brawlers being an appropriate name considering they're boasting the number 1 defense. They're planning to put a third goose egg for the Blackhawks and sweep them this year. Blackhawks, though, haven't allowed a point in 3 games and look to keep it that way. Though one of those 3 shutouts was a forfeit, so doesn't really play favor for their defense, and part of why I still think that the stout defense of the Brawlers is going to hold up one more week. Again, low numbers in AA keeps things short, and there's only 2 weeks of playoffs, which means this first round with semifinals. The Nightmare would show that their defense was still savage and hold the number 2 offense, the Warriors, to 7 points and win with a 7-13 victory. However, the high-flying Wildcats and their number 1 offense put up another 43 points last week and allowed 0, but against the low-ended Riptide. The Wildcats will be hosting the AA championship and hope to stop the number 1 defense in the Nightmare with their number 1 offense and number 2 defense themselves. However, the Nightmare have held the number 2 offense last week to just 7 points and less than 7 points in the last 3 of 4 games. Their only 2 losses this year came to the Wildcats, and with the Nightmare progressing, I don't see them giving up a 3rd loss. The Wildcats scored 4 touchdowns in each of the 2 first matchups and had a shutout the first time, but the Nightmare managed to pull off 13 points in the second matchup, and I feel with their progression with the Warriors in the season that they have a better shot and that they will manage the upset and they will take home the AA championship against the Wildcats. And the conference you've all been waiting for, AAA. 4 games last week had the Cobras, the Generals at the Cobras, the Charge at the Bulls, the War Dogs at the Panthers, or the Panthers at the War Dogs, excuse me, and GSD at the Bandits. The number 4 Cobras would be losing 23-6 at halftime, but with a resurgence in the second half and 13 unanswered points in the final few minutes, the Cobras would pull off the 39-32 shootout win and secure themselves a spot in the next round of the playoffs. New Hampshire was charged, but the Bulls were raging, and passion beats power. New Hampshire thought they had it in the bag in the second half with a 17-12 lead, but Joe Hicks would catch the go-ahead touchdown reception, putting the Bulls up 20-17. A 3rd rushing touchdown by Bulls running back T. Colin would give them a final score of 27-17. Bulls win. AAA championship rematch from 2017. Panthers are at the War Dogs. 7-12 at halftime. The War Dogs had the lead and wouldn't relinquish it with a final score of 28-19, sending the defending champ Panthers home packing. Being number 9th in offense and number 8 in defense did not give GSD much chance at the Bandit. Losing 13-41, the GSD ended their first year AAA playoff run in the first round, and the Bandits move on. Semifinals for AAA has the number 3 Raging Bulls at the number 2 War Dogs and the number 4 Cobras at the number 1 Bandits. The number 3 Bulls are number 2 in offense and number 5 in defense. With a long travel and only allowing greater than 21 points 3 times, they'll be a tough test as they're a more powerful offense, I should say, than the Connecticut Panthers. And being a veteran franchise, the Bulls are not just going to lay down and let the War Dogs have it. The War Dogs are boasting the number 1 offense and the number 4 defense. A 9-game win streak after going 0-2 to start the season got them motivated and turned around, and only allowing 20 points or less. When the War Dogs only score 21 points, though, they're 50-50 in chances. They've won 100% of all games where they've allowed 20 points or less, but there's 0% in scoring under 21 themselves. With all of these and the fact that the Bulls do have a long travel, I'm gonna stick with the War Dogs, and they're going to win this one, and they're going to stay my pick to win the AAA championship, though I wouldn't be so upset with an upset by the Bulls on this one. Our other semifinal matchup here in AAA conference is the number 4 Cobras at the number 1 Bandits. Number 6 in offense and tied 2nd in defense. The Cobras have had a sputter the last 4 weeks of the season, but was relit last week when they played the Generals and put up 39 points. The Cobras ended their seasons with 2 losses. The only team that in the playoffs that ended their season with losses, hope to win the rematch where they lost 0-3 against the Bandits a few weeks ago. And in my thoughts, I think the Cobras are going to pull off this upset against the Bandits. Number 4 in offense and number 1 in defense. However, the only team in the playoffs to lose to a non-playoff team. The Bandits lost a few weeks ago against the Eagles, who put up 26 points. Now, it doesn't mean anything because they still, again, have the number 1 offense and the number 4 defense, or number 4 offense and the number 1 defense. But having given up a game to some lesser teams, I feel like this is the window that the Cobras are looking for to slither in and strike. Cobras for the win, and you'll see and I predict that you'll see the number 4 Cobras at the number 2 War Dogs for the championship round. Well, there's my recap and predictions. If you don't like my picks, leave your comments on the bottom. Let me know what you think the results are going to be. If we get enough people, I'll post the results up on the next episode, and we'll start a little head-to-head competition. Mad Mike versus the fans. Let's see where this goes. Also, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Make sure you help me get the word out there. And, hit that notification button too, so that way you can get the latest on what's going on with Mad Mike's reviews, previews, predictions, and everything going on NEFL.